Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my new series called Top Picks, and today we're looking at the top picks for update 2.2. Now, for those of you that do want a Vox guide and an attacker guide, that is coming, don't worry. I'm getting onto it. I'm hopefully releasing one tomorrow, but this was a guide that I was working on for a little bit, so I wanted to release it today. Now, we'll be using stats from Vain.gg. I'll be looking at professional player picks, and most of this guide will be aimed at solo queue, so don't worry if the picks that I'm talking about aren't particularly relevant to competitive, because again, solo queue picks are very different to competitive picks. Now, let's look at the lane first. The top 4 picks for lane based on their statistics, their win rates, their play rates, and also their appearances in professional play are Gwen, Adagio, Vox, and Ringo. Now, Kestrel definitely has a special mention here, but I feel like she is better placed in the jungle, so I'll talk about her later on. So don't worry, I haven't forgotten about Weapon Power Kestrel. I definitely think she's a strong laner, but she's a little bit more difficult to pull off than Gwen, and I often feel that Gwen is a little bit more solo queue friendly, should we say. So definitely remember Kestrel. Weapon Power Kestrel should be in this top 4, but for me personally, I find Gwen a lot easier to use. Now, without further ado, let's look into each of these individually, and we're going to start with Vox, who is without a doubt definitely rank 1 for the lane picks. So why is Vox so important? Well, he's got an average pick rate of 1 in 20, so 5%, across all Vainglory servers, which makes him a very popular hero. With that, with the huge sample size that accrues, he's got an average win rate of 53.4%. Now, you might look at that statistic and say, that's only just over 50%, that's terrible. But actually, for a win rate in a hero in a MOBA, that's a very good win rate, and it makes him the highest average win rate for a laner across all laners in Vainglory, so that's absolutely fantastic. Now, why is it exactly that he's got the sort of the win rate that you see here? Well, he's a very mobile. His weapon power carry build is great for single target damage. He's one of the only weapon power carries because of his mobility that can make the breaking point double turrets monocle build work effectively. So you get the huge stacks that you can build with the sonic zoom double auto attack. You get the big critical strikes, and in solo queue when teams are uncoordinated, you can actually use his crystal power build path to devastate teams because of the resonance bounces. Teams will group up in solo queue against Voxes sometimes, and you can just rip through them with resonance. So you can see why, he's becoming so popular, and he's so good against kiting things like Fortress, which have become very popular in 2.2, kiting against assassins, because with the build path that he takes, he actually can burst assassins maybe more readily than they can burst him. So, he's just very mobile, huge single target damage in the weapon power build, and if you go the crystal power build, solo queue teams are uncoordinated and won't not group versus the resonance bounces. So he's just got lots of things going for him right now, and it makes him very, very versatile. Plus, silence on his ultimate for a carry is a very good utility spell, and it can actually turn the tides of a fight. So Vox is just in a really, really strong place right now. Good damage output, and great mobility against threats. Now we're going to move on to Ringo. Now, Ringo obviously incredibly popular over the last few months and will remain popular in Update 2.2 despite receiving nerfs to his A ability, Achilles Shot. Weapon Power Ringo still remains a very strong pick, and again, everybody seems to still be living on the Ringo hype. Apart from the East Asia server, Ringo is the most picked hero on every other server in the world. The average pick rate is 6.49%, but that is brought down heavily by East Asia. He is actually sitting at around 8% for most other servers. His average win rate sits at 51.3%, so slightly lower than Vox's, but still a very respectable win rate nonetheless. And actually, we need to look at why Ringo is still very good. Well, he's got great build versatility. He's actually still incredibly good single target damage as a weapon power carry. You have the attack speed buff built into your kit. If you have that built into your kit, you will always remain a very viable weapon power carry hero. And he's actually really great versus Vox, especially in the lane. He's really good against most people in lane because of that double down passive, but against Vox, who is very popular right now, Ringo has always been a good pick because of that range advantage. So against the Vox, you would hit a minion to get your double down and trade into him using your twirling silver, knowing that it's very difficult for the Vox to trade back into you because you have that basic attack range advantage. So Ringo will remain always popular when Vox is popular, because generally Ringo is considered a pretty solid counter to him in lane. So whenever Vox is popular, expect Ringo to remain fairly popular in his own right too. Now, my next pick is going to be moderately controversial given the statistics behind her, and probably a lot of professional opinion. But my third pick for solo queue is going to be Gwen. Now, Gwen is an interesting hero right now. She's got a very low average pick rate at about 2.91%, which is about half of that of Ringo and Vox. And her average win rate is actually below 50%, but believe it or not, that's still a decent win rate for a hero in Vainglory. But what makes Gwen so good in solo queue is her ease of use. Over things like Kestrel in lane, I think Kestrel's got a higher skill cap than Gwen, and can be a lot harder to play, especially down the weapon power route. So playing Gwen, it's a lot easier to make work in every composition in solo queue, especially in, when you've not got communications with your captain hero, for instance, because you have that free reflex block built into your kit. So I definitely think Gwen still stays up there as a high priority pick. If you can't pick Vox or Ringo, then Gwen is definitely down there as the next best thing, in my opinion. Maybe not for damage output. Her damage output is a little bit lackluster in the late game compared to things of the likes of Ringo and Vox, even Kestrel. But, she's got good poke with her buckshot. She's got good versatility with the fact that she can be mobile with her skedaddle, and that gives her a free reflex block, which is really good in solo queue. So yeah, I still think Gwen remains a very, very solid pick, not to mention the utility that her ultimate has as well, being able to catch someone out with a stun. So yeah, I think definitely Gwen's still up there on my top 4 list. I still like playing her, still think she's pretty solid in solo queue. And the final pick is going to be Adagio. Now, his stats that you can see here don't really do him justice. His average pick rate is at 2.73%, although you can maybe attribute that to being because he's banned so much. He generally is banned at the higher elos, especially, pretty much 100% of the time, along with Lyra. Especially in competitive play, you very rarely see Adagio let through, and if he is pretty much always picked, kind of at that 100% pick or ban phase right now in competitive. His average win rate is 48.2%, but that was kind of skewed by South America, who had an anomaly of about 41% win rate on him. So everywhere else he kind of hovers around the 50% mark, which is a perfectly acceptable win rate. He's quite hard to play, which is probably why you see the win rate not as high as it should be, given the professional play importance on him. If everyone played him like the professionals did, you probably see a much higher win rate on him, but he still remains an incredibly powerful lane pick, especially Europe. Europe definitely seem to want to put him in the lane sometimes over that captain position, but this is what makes Adagio so good. He is very, very good in lane right now, and he's also incredibly good as a captain. Now, why is he so good? Well, he's very versatile. Like I said, he can be captain or lane, and his build path allows him to, essentially function as a healer and a damage dealer at the same time. He's a massive lane bully. Gift of Fire can really devastate your opponents. If you land Gift of Fire on them and land those basic attacks, they are going to absolutely pay for it. So, Gift of Firing your minions to land it onto the laner if they step too close to the minion wave, running up to the laner, Gift of Firing yourself and using those basic attacks. He's really difficult to deal with in lane, and has got a great basic attack range as well. And also he scales incredibly well, and that utility I talked about, Verse of Judgment, especially down the CP build path, can deal a lot of damage if the enemy is unaware. So in lower elos, if they don't have the reflex blocks, don't have the crucibles, Verse of Judgment can be devastating. Gift of Fire, it heals, and it scales in terms of damage as well as Agent of Wrath, which is really, really good at buffing your weapon power carries or buffing yourself to give you just that extra little bit of damage when trying to blow up the opponent. So he still remains incredibly good in the current meta. And finally, I want to give some special mentions. Like I said, I should have talked about Kestrel, but I feel like her skill cap makes it hard to make work in solo queue, but in competitive play, she's up there with Vox and Ringo for damage output, especially because she has the range advantage on them with the Glimmer Shot as well. So playing weapon power Kestrel in lane can be really good. In solo queue, I think it's better to play crystal power Kestrel from the jungle, just for your ability to flank, exploit poor vision, blow people up, but definitely in competitive, we're seeing a lot of weapon power Kestrel, so please keep her in mind if you're a Kestrel fan. She is up there in the top tiers of lane picks. Also want to give a mention to Baron. North America definitely starting to take a shine to Baron. He's got incredible scaling. If you can get to 3 to 4 weapon power items, he basically one-shots everybody. The issue with him in solo queue is he's quite heavily exploited by popular junglers right now, like Taka and Koshka, because they will shut him down, stop him getting to the late game, and you'll end up losing the game before you have the good damage output. But, if you want someone that scales, if you're confident that your team can make it to the late game, Baron is an excellent lane pick as the weapon power right now. Crystal Power Baron, really not that good, too hard to land all of his skills, but definitely weapon power Baron, super strong. And the final mention is to our friendly little dragon over here, Skaarf. His win rate has been climbing steadily over the last few patches. Definitely easier to pull off in solo queue than Celeste, because you have a bit of slow built into your kit, and if you can goop on yourself if an assassin gets there and set it ablaze, you actually deal quite a lot of damage. I actually pick Skaarf over Celeste in most cases because of his utility that he brings with his kit as well. Celeste has got the stun, which is great, but it can be hard to hit against the likes of Taka, the likes of Koshka, both of which are huge threats to Celeste and Skaarf, and it's often why you don't see them played too much in lane, because they aren't too good against ganks. So things like Glaive, Koshka, Taka, they'll all punish things like Celeste and Skaarf in lane. It does have the range of Celeste though, and also got the goop which you can set on fire, which is a lot easier to hit onto those types of targets. You know, if the stun doesn't land, that's damage wasted, but if you put the goop down and they walk over it, you're still getting some slow and still getting some damage down, so it makes Skaarf a very versatile and viable pick. So that's it. That's the lane guide, guys. The top 4 lane picks with the special mentions. I'm going to be doing a roam or captain guide for this, and also a jungler top 4 too. Those will be coming out over the next 5 days. I'll have them all out by next week, so stick around and look forward to them. My Vox guide is pretty much done, even though I deleted all of my footage yesterday. Going to be pretty much done, and that'll be coming out tomorrow, so hopefully see that, and then I'll have Taka guide next week too. So loads of stuff coming your way, guys. Don't stress, don't fret. I'm still producing videos, just had to do my hosting for VGL, which took a little bit of... Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe, and also follow my Twitter, follow my Twitch. I'm going to be streaming when I can too, so streaming some live Vainglory, which I'll be doing sort of teaching sessions on, and I'll be trying to do viewer games, and I'll try and teach you in a game as well. So all of that coming your way. Make sure that you follow all of the social medias, and I'll see you in the next video.